Welcome. May the peace of God be upon you today and always. I'm already glad that you are here with us, seeing that we are in a different way of bringing to you the fifth gospel, that is this study for us to see that we are the living testimony of Christ actions here in this world of his gospel, thus becoming the fifth gospel. We usually do this live, but today we had a few technical problems and it will be resolved because, as we're going to see today, our theme is about trials and how trials are part of our growth, our spiritual growth. Now, what if I told you that the biggest struggle that you are having right now is God's way of for preparing you for something greater? What if? Let us see that by reading the Gospel of Jesus according to Luke chapter 8, verses 22 to 25. It is the passage, Jesus calms the storm, writes the evangelist Luke. One day, Jesus said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side of the lake." So they got into a boat and set out. As they sailed, Jesus fell asleep. A squall came down on the lake, so that the boat was being swamped and they were in great danger. The disciples went and woke him, saying, "Master, Master, we are going to drown." He got up and rebuked the wind and the raging waters. The storm subsided and all was calm. Where is your faith? The divine Master asked his disciples. In fear and amazement, they asked one another, "Who is this? He commands even the winds and the water, and they obey him." This passage tells us a lot about trials, about what we face in this world to testify Christ, to be this living testimony of Jesus. Before we discuss this passage here, I want to bring these words from Apostle Peter, where he is expressing his gratitude for suffering as a Christian. It is a very interesting testimony that he brings to us. So I'm going to read here the first letter of Peter in its 4th chapter, verses 12 to 13. You can read this entire passage by yourself with your Bible because it's amazing. It's very uplifting what he tells us, what he says to us. And what is it that I want to focus right now is it on these two first verses here. Dear friends, do not be surprised at the fiery ordeal that has come on you to test you, as though something strange were happening to you. But rejoice in as much as you participate in the sufferings of Christ, so that you may be overjoyed when his glory is revealed. Look how interesting is this words of Peter and how it talks with the passage that we just read. Jesus calms the storm. If we think about it right in the beginning, and I have here noted, and I invite you to participate also in our group channel. It's right here, our group channel called The Fifth Gospel that is on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram and participate in this group channel. We are sharing there the notes of these lives, and also we'll be having reflections, we'll be having Bible verses, we'll be having prayers, so that we can walk with Christ and see his glory being revealed to all of us. So, what is it that we see here in this passage? It's very interesting because if we think about it, and having an ecumenical method to understand this passage, that is, studying it in the spirit and truth under the light of the new commandment of Jesus that we find in his gospel gospel according to John, chapter 13, verses 34 and 35, we see here that Christ himself is sending us to face the trials that are set for us as a consequence of our actions. And you may think, what actions? What consequences? I'm only doing good things here. I'm trying my best. I don't remember of doing anything bad. Why is it that I'm facing this trial? Why is it that God is giving that to me? Well, remember what Peter said. He tells us that we shouldn't feel that trial as something strange. Just for the fact of us following Christ, of us trying to be good people, or of us trying to live under his divine love, we are already gonna face trials, because that's common in this world. When you try to be someone good, when you try to do something good, bad things ended up happening to you, not to take you down, but actually to become this step for you to maintain yourself and for you to persevere in your beliefs, in what you understand as of living under the love of God. So Christ is sending us to face the trials, because once we are with him, we already receive a strength, and we already in a position of courage that no matter what happens, no matter what we face, we know that his glory is going to be revealed in our lives. Okay, it's easier said than done, because when you're facing the trial, a lot of doubts starts to come in your mind. You already question your life. You already have a lot of things going on in your mind, so you cannot actually focus on maintaining the commandments of God, maintaining what you've learned with Christ. But that's the thing, that's the storm in your life. That's already the trial happening to you. And we need to find a way so that we can let Christ calm the storm of our lives, or even face the storm and go through it with Christ, knowing that we are protected by him. That will be more discussed in a few minutes, but you see, once we are with Jesus, we are already set on a path to face challenges, to face trials, because that's part of being a Christian. That is life itself. And we can only grow when we are facing them. Brother Paiva has a quote very interesting where he tells us that trials, they are challenges to sent by God to our intelligence. That is the challenge that we're facing right now. That is the trial that becomes a challenge for us, is to work in us a way for us to use our intelligence, the wisdom that we are acquiring, the knowledge that we are acquiring in our lives. Because we can say here, oh, you need to love the other as Christ loves all of us. But one thing is talking about it and thinking about it, the other thing is practicing it, is really living it. It's going to become a challenge for you to do that. And that's fine. That's all right. That's how you grow. If you think about it, even in terms of our physical body, if we want to grow muscle, if we want to be slim, if, or healthy, we need to exercise, and that exercise brings us a painful feeling, brings us this challenge of overcoming our current state. And that's how our muscles grow. When you hurt them, when you rip them, of course, not in a way to injure, and you need to recover from it in terms of r- ripping it with all your muscles, and not actually growing them, but only hurting them, that you need to go to the doctor. But in the sense that you are working out, you are doing your part, you're going after, you're facing the challenge of becoming a healthy person. Because if we don't do anything, our bodies are just like a machine. It's going to start to accumulate dirt that is inside of our bodies, is going to become that fat that can end up going to our hearts, to our brains, and then we can have a stroke, we can have a heart attack, we can have a lot of problems if we don't move, if we don't put our bodies to exercise. So, you see, you need to go and face. But sometimes we don't actually want to go, we don't actually want to try. But then Christ comes and tells us, look, let's go, let's cross this, let's face it, because you need to face it. So he already sets us on that path, and just by following him, we will ended up having a path of trials, a path of challenge. Now, he doesn't let us go. He is not letting us by ourselves. No, he is being with us, even if he may look like, even if it may look like he's asleep, he is watchful. He is knowing what is going on. It only seems that he is asleep, but in reality, he knows what's happening to all of us. And he is there. He is there to help us, but he's also there to see us overcome the trials that are showing up in our lives. But he's not abandoning us, he's not leaving us by ourselves. Because when something happens that we cannot do anything, that is over our control, that we cannot actually solve it by ourselves, we can ask him for help. We can talk to him, pray to him, and he will help us. He will calm the storm that is happening in our lives. The same happened with the disciples. The only thing was that at the moment that they perceived they were in danger, they already ran after Christ and asked him to do something. And then Jesus asked them, "Where is your faith? Don't you see that I'm already here with you? Don't you know that this boat won't be drowned because I am in it with you? I am here with you. You don't need to worry. You don't need to lose your faith. You don't need to think that everything is lost. I am with you. I will calm the storm for you, but notice that you could wait a little longer. You could see that we would be able to cross this storm together. So don't you worry. I am here. I will calm the storm, but keep your faith. Believe that when we are with Christ, when we are with God, we can overcome it. And when we overcome this trial, it's going to be a step for our spiritual growth, because we will already know what to do. And we will already know and learn the lesson to not be on that trial anymore. even if it shows itself in our lives, but we will be ready to face it, and we will have the peace of God knowing that He will do everything to help us, and He will help us. We just need to also do our part, not be only watching Him doing His part, but also doing our part. I'm glad that you've been here with me until this time, and I hope that you have a great and amazing day. May the peace of God be upon you today and always. God is present, Jesus lives in our hearts forever.